Hello! Sorry, that was loud. Hello, and welcome back to another video. Yes, I'm recording a little earlier than usual. I'm going to get a second one in today, or I'm sure as hell going to try. Yeah. Today, we are reading His Reasons. It's Todoroki X Reader Fanfic by AshleyH713. We're on, Season 4, Chapter 7 now? We have a lot more to go. I think there's like another 40-something in all, of what I've got to read to go. So, that's fun. We have a whole full thing of water, so we should be good. I'm sorry if I'm too loud. Since it's earlier, I don't have to worry about waking anybody up, so I'm more willing to talk full volume. And I'm terrified I'm going to break someone's eardrums, so be warned. And let's begin. Dabi heard his name echo through the walls of his cell, beckoning him closer to find a guard staring back. You have a visitor. Let's go. Frowning, he had no other choice but to follow the man into the room, only to meet those same annoying red eyes he had come to know. This girl was really getting on his nerves. It seemed she visited him twice a week now, and he was forced to listen to her constant rambling. Amari smiled from the chair, though, like nothing was wrong at all. It was sickly sweet, as usual, too. Hello, Toya. How have you been this week? The man groaned back before flopping into his own chair. Would you stop calling me that? Now I regret telling you that piece of information. What could you possibly want now? Although the girl didn't seem bothered, only replying shortly. I already told you, I'm not going to call you by your villain name, Toya, so you can forget that. And forgive me for being interested in your life. The villain only grumbled, though, answering back sarcastically. My life behind bars? Ah, yes, it's very luxurious. Thanks for asking. Amari felt slightly guilty for that, knowing she was the one that put him there. You know, you wouldn't have to deal with that if you decided to come home. Dabi only chuckled in response. On second thought, it's growing on me. I forgot that anything is better than that hellhole. By the way, what did my dear brother say when you told him I was alive? I'm curious how little show acted. That's when Amari played with her hands before answering small. He doesn't know. To that, Dabi raised an eye. Really? What about coming to visit me all the time? Have you told him that? The girl only put her head down, signifying that she had not told him. That made the villain even more amused. Oh, wow, sweetheart. I didn't know you had it in you to lie to my little brother like that. You know, lying isn't something a hero would do. He was picking on her, and Amari knew it, only shaking her head. She wouldn't call it lying. She was just withholding information. It's not my business to tell him. It's yours. They locked eyes, then only for Dabi to shrug. Then I guess he'll never know, because I don't plan on telling him. That will only make him want to pursue me as well. I already have plenty of annoyances from you right now. Frowning back, Amari had tried everything with her power to talk about her interactions with his family in hopes that it would make him nostalgic. That wasn't the case, though. So I'm dying to know, what is the big plan you have for me anyways? What are you going to do to convince me to come home? Go on, it's him. So I'm dying to know, what is the big plan you have for me anyways? What are you going to do to convince me to come home, as you say? Go on, tell me. She remained silent at that, causing the man to raise an eye. Hold on, you don't have a plan, do you? You talk all high and mighty, but I bet you're just forcing me to talk to you because you're lonely or something, right? Well, I hate to break it to you, but small talk and some past family stories isn't going to change anything. Balling her hands into fists, Amari shook her head, knowing that he was right in a sense. She had no idea how to convince Toya to go back to his family. It seemed almost impossible, but for Todoroki, she wasn't about to give up. She then stood up from her chair roughly. Don't you want to know what everyone is doing? About how Shoto is trying for his hero license again, or how Fuyumi... I think I said it wrong. Freaked out when she found out he had a girlfriend? Or Natsu when he... Or not... I know, I said that wrong. When he kidnapped me and told me how much he missed you? Or your mother tells me that she wishes for your happiness? Or how Endeavor is training me even though I'm weak? How he's giving me a chance to... At that, Dabi slammed his hand on the glass between them, causing Amari to stop speaking. We're gonna move that somewhere else. Where were we? Slammed his hand on the glass between them, causing Amari to stop speaking. His voice was dark and cruel, like he was mocking her words. I'm gonna stop you right there. I left that place for a reason. I have no intention of going back, so you better be careful before I stop finding your attempts amusing and kill you myself. Her body wanted to be afraid of him, but now that she knew he was a Todoroki, Amari couldn't help but lean back onto the glass. Then why haven't you done it already? You could have killed me so many times, and yet you didn't. I know somewhere in there you want to know about your family. You're just too afraid to face them. Dabi's eyes widened then, disbelief across his features, before settling back into his usual sarcastic gaze. She didn't know why her last words spoke to him in some way. Although Amari didn't falter in the slightest. So it doesn't matter what you think of me. I will keep coming back here, and I'll keep talking to you about them until you have the courage to face them yourself, because I know for a fact they are waiting for you to come home also. After her declaration, the boy remained silent as she continued, determination in her gaze. Shoto deserves to have a family again. He deserves to have a home, and I'm going to do my damn best to make that a reality. The villain couldn't help but admit that her words were powerful. It was obvious that she had a lot of passion behind them, although he knew better what she wanted to do. It would never work. Your dream is nice, sweetheart, but you're going to find out soon that families like ours never change. You can't just say a couple magic words and accept everything to be all right again. Things may seem all right to you now, but don't forget what made them broken in the first place. They just aren't that simple, although you're too naive to realize that. Amari took in his words, although didn't completely understand the meaning. He was wrong. She had noticed a change in Todoroki's family over the last couple months. All she needed to... What the fuck is going on outside? I think my dad just got home. The last couple months, all she needed to do was talk to Endeavor, and then maybe everything would be fixed. Shaking her head, the girl replied, "There you go with your preachy behavior again. I won't decide it's impossible until I've tried. You don't understand, Toya. Your family has given me so much, and I want to help them the best I can." To that, Dabi only frowned. Your behavior is definitely going to get you killed one day. Can't you just leave it alone? That family is beyond saving. Although Amari didn't listen to his words in the slightest, knowing she couldn't just give up now. Not when she could possibly give Todoroki the feeling of happiness and love again. We'll just see about that. The next day, Amari walked with Endeavor into Sir Night-Eye's building until he reached a large meeting room in the corner of the hallway. From his description, it seemed that the hero had put together a sort of strategy to get together many pro-heroes in the area. Because of that, she knew she had to be serious. Pushing open the door, the girl was surprised when she noticed a few familiar faces in the mix. For some reason, along with Deku and Mirio, Kirishima... Asu? I feel disappointed in myself because I can't say these names. And Uraka were there as well. As soon as they noticed her, though, the students' eyes lit up with both excitement and confusion. "Amari-chan, you're here also? It's good to see you." Smiling back, Amari replied, "It's good to see you both as well. I'm glad that Sir Night-Eye called all of you here also. To be honest, I was getting kind of nervous not knowing anyone here. It's nice to see some familiar faces." They all agreed, but Sue had another question on her mind. "Amari, why did the agency call you? You haven't taken your provisional exam yet, right?" Rubbing her shoulder, the girl only muttered back softly, You see, there's a good answer for that. I kind of forced my way onto the case, and never let me tag along, since it's very personal to me." They were about to question why it was personal, but were stopped when Sir Night-Eye spoke above everyone. "All right, everyone, take your seats so we can begin." Everyone complied, and his assistant, Bubble Girl, got down to business. "So, as you know, the Night-Eye Agency has been keeping our eye on a certain group of Yakuza members that have been making questionable decisions the past couple of months. We were able to track their location to an abandoned warehouse where we believe they made contact with the League of Villains. The League of Villains? That didn't seem good to anyone in the room, especially the UA students who had to deal with them firsthand. It seems that their main source of income is through illegal drugs, so because of that, we requested help from heroes that have knowledge in that field. The room began to mumble to themselves as Amari thought about her words. Illegal drugs. The thought made her shiver. She couldn't but recall her pills when they said that. Although one voice spoke out then, it was a hero to her left, looking less than pleased at the situation. Is this the one dude? I don't know. If that's the case, does anyone want to tell me why a bunch of high school students are here? I don't care if they're from UA. I highly doubt they have the experience in this field. Everyone frowned at that, only for another hero, Fat Gum, to reply, now pointing to his trainees, Kirishima and Tamaki. Oh, I want to attempt his voice, but... Hey now, these boys have some value information for y'all. For you all. In our fight, Tamaki was shot with some sort of drug that destroys quirks. I never heard of it before. The heroes gasped at the development. I feel bad, because I know I just butchered his voice. The heroes gasped at the development. A drug that destroys quirks? That could be incredibly dangerous in the wrong hands. Tamaki seemed to... Get rid of some fear, though. I know what it means. I don't know how to say it. It wasn't... how would I do his? It wasn't permanent, though. I gained my quirk back as I slept. They breathed a sigh of relief at that. At least it couldn't have been worse. Well, that was until Fat Gum spoke again. When we had the drug tested out, the results came back with something that made me sick to my stomach. It contained human blood. Mari's eyes widened at this, feeling her hands have a slight shake to them. That sounds an awful like the Nomu blood that All for One put in her pills. She couldn't help but make that connection, now feeling for the little girl more than ever. Deku seemed equally disgusted, although when he saw Bakugo's sister shake, he couldn't help but be concerned for her. Amari-chan, are you alright? Nodding her head half-heartedly, suddenly the man that she had encountered a couple days ago flashed onto the screen in front of her. The head of the Yakuza clan, Chisaki Kai, is known to distribute such drugs, and with his quirk overhaul, I thought that was his, never mind. He is able to break down matter, break down quirks. Everyone gasped then as Deku and Mirio started to look sick. They had just let a dangerous man like that go. What was wrong with them? But then his daughter, just as they thought that, Night-Eye continued. Chisaki has a daughter named Eri, although we have found no records on her birth. When Deku and Mirio encountered her a couple days ago, they reported that she had bandages on her arms and legs. The reality was starting to become sickening, as the same hero called out roughly again. As I just repeated, why do you have children here? As I just repeated, why do you have children here? If what you're saying is true, then that means Chisaki is using his daughter's blood to sell drugs. The idea was absolutely horrible to everyone in the room, especially Bakugo, who felt her fists tighten. She was so close to her that time, and yet she let Deku and Mirio pull her away. If only she was strong, then she would have faced him in the alleyway. Silence echoed again as the man continued with his cruel words. You know, it would have saved us a lot of trouble if these two amateurs just got the girl away from him. I don't think that's what he said. Pretty sure he said something about not talking to him. Besides the point. Deku and Mirio both looked down in shame then. He hadn't reported Amari at the scene, so the hero didn't know that she was responsible for it as well. This hero didn't know anything about that time. So much so that Amari couldn't help but speak out on her friend's behalf. Forgive me, but you weren't there that day. Chisaki clearly was about to show violence if we didn't let her go. Those two were just trying to stop an unnecessary amount of casualties. I wouldn't call that amateur at all, sir. In fact, I'd call that smart. Deku's eyes lit up at that, feeling a small ball of emotion in his throat. Amari-chan. Mirio also seemed stunned at the fact that she would speak up so boldly in front of a pro hero like that, although she was Angry One's twin, so he supposed that made sense. At her words, everyone turned to her, though, the man narrowing his eyes. And remind me who you are again? Amari then opened her mouth only for another hero to answer for her. Wait, I know who she is. She's Endeavor's trainee, the high school girl that went undercover for the League of Villains. Taking in their response, the man didn't seem pleased. Great, first we have a couple of high school kids, and now have a licenseless girl that isn't even in the pro hero course anymore? What kind of meeting is this, Sir Night-Eye? Sir Night-Eye glared at the girl only for her to answer first. Sir Night-Eye didn't put me on this case, I asked to be put on it. You wouldn't understand this, but it's something I need to do, and I want to help save that girl. At that, the man shook his head in disapproval. All heroes here either have experience in the field or knowledge about the topic at hand. But what about you? What use could you be then? Amari remained silent, knowing exactly why she had to do this case, but being too afraid to say. Deku seemed to notice this as well, calling out to her. Actually, But the man cut Deku off roughly, slamming his fist on the table. If we aren't going to get rid of the high school kids, at least first we take this one off. With no hero license, we could get into serious trouble. The heroes around them seemed to mutter under their breath, and Amari knew what she had to do, shouting back, No, you can't do that. I need to be on this case. The man pushed further for an answer then. Then give us one reason to keep a kid with no license on this case. Closing her eyes for a moment, Amari then stood up from her seat before slamming her fist on the table, her eyes causing a shiver to go down his spine. Fine. She then quietly unzipped her jacket before showing the object to the ground and leaving her throwing the object to the ground and leaving her tank top, much to the confusion of other heroes. Why was she stripping so suddenly? Why word it like that? That's when she spoke, slow and smooth. When I met Eri in that alleyway a couple days ago, I had this strong sense of déjà vu. Her bandages, the look in her eyes, it was like a cry for help, one that I knew all too well. You want to know my experience with this? Why I want to rescue her? Turning around to face the wall, Amari then took a hair tie from her wrist before slowly putting her hair up and revealing scars and burns across her back for the entire room to see. The marks that those villains put on her, ones she couldn't remember, they were all out there. That's when she spoke, dark and sad. It's because when I was abused by them, no one rescued me. Deku's eyes widened in fear, eyeing her scars with panic. He had never known that much about Bakugo's sister. But torture? Villains had abused her in the past? No, he couldn't believe it. She always seemed too calm, so happy all the time. What was she hiding beneath that smile? The room went silent. Silent. Even that male hero was staring at her with shock as she turned back around, now gaining their attention. I know I'm not the smartest or strongest hero out there, but I know how Eri is feeling right now. She's alone and afraid, and now is not the time to bitch about who is worthy enough to be on this team. So if you have a problem with me, then fine, but I'm sure as hell not going to stop being on this case. I will rescue Eri and give her the chance of a childhood I never had. Or so help me, I will die trying. Any objections? Oh, I want to cry. The heroes all stared at her in surprise, never knowing that Endeavor's trainee was so explosive and passionate. Many wondered what this girl would be like. But looking now, they could tell she was something special. Endeavor himself sat with his head facing down, a small smile plastered on his face at her words. Yep, that was his trainee. After a couple more moments, the man that was accusing her sat back down, giving up the fight. This made Eri slightly proud. God damn, what is wrong with me? Amari, slightly proud, now covering up her scars with her jacket as Sir Night-Eye coughed. Well then, after that outburst, I'll assume we are ready to oversee the plans for you? Okay. Nodding back, the man continued. The idea is simple. Go to your jurisdicted area and start the search. We can't be too obvious, or else Chisaki will know we are coming. If we want to save Eri, like Ember has said, then we need to be smart and plan this out. Everyone seemed to agree, and Amari couldn't help but ball her fists with a small spike of adrenaline at her hero name being echoed through the hall. It felt right. Hold on, Eri. We're coming. Moving back to Endeavor's agency to get her stuff, Amari sighed to herself, knowing she didn't follow his orders exactly well. So, sorry for speaking out back there. I needed them to know I was serious about this. Although the man didn't seem fazed at all, only shaking his head. I already predicted you wouldn't be able to keep your mouth shut during the meeting, so it didn't really come as a surprise. The fact that he knew she would do something like this only showed how closely they had been training. Amari letting her head fall. I guess I dishonored the Todoroki name then, Although, what she realized was rather surprising, now seeing Endeavor smile to himself. I wouldn't say that. A sense of pride grew in her stomach then, finding herself smiling as well. He seemed almost proud of her outburst, which was strange. Usually, he would be the first to lecture her on that kind of thing. That's when Dobby flashed into her mind, and Amari wanted to know the answer to another question. Hey, Endeavor, why did you decide to train me anyways? I heard from Shoto that you refuse to take anyone weak or lacking in any way. I'm like the definition of that, so why did you choose me? Endeavor stopped walking then. His expression was unreadable. For a moment, before looking down rather solemnly. Call it a lack of judgment. Amari stepped forward then, saying something that made the man freeze. Is it because I remind you of Toya? He was silent for a moment before turning back to her, fire now in his eyes. He looked kind of scary, so much so that it made Amari step back. Where did you hear that name? Gulping back, Amari knew she couldn't tell him about Dobby, settling to dodge the question. It doesn't matter where I heard it. It's the truth, right? You're using me as some kind of penance for him, right? It's not that I mind or anything, but I guess I was just curious. Our stories are rather similar after all. It would make sense. Endeavor took a step forward then, fury in his stance. Don't ever mention that name around me again, or else I will revoke my offer to train you. Although he wasn't denying her words, which made Amari hopeful, maybe he did still love his son. I'm not scared of you, Endeavor. You can't threaten me like you do with your kids. You just don't want me to talk about him because you don't want to face what happened. At that, Endeavor shouted back, How dare you try to assume things about my own children? You aren't even a part of this family, so why are you poking your nose into things that don't concern you? Shaking her head, Amari replied, But they do concern me. Don't you think it's pretty shitty that Shoto can't even talk to his own brother, no matter how you try to deny it? He existed, Endeavor. At her words, the man felt a large wave of fury wash over him, now seeing Amari grab his arm in desperation. And you miss him too, don't you? The touch reminded him of the past, Toya touching his arm and asking some sort of small question. This girl, she was too much like that boy. He knew that, and yet, somehow, the man kept torturing himself. Because of the memory, Endeavor roughly pulled away from Amari's hand, slapping her arm away, only for it to rise behind him naturally at the action. Just then, a wave of fire floated the room as a hand roughly grabbed Endeavor's, now seething with absolute hatred and anger. What do you think you're doing? Amari blinked in surprise only to find Todoroki standing in between them, disgust clear across his face. Why did he look like that? Shoto, what are you doing here? Narrowing his eyes, the boy replied shortly. I came to pick you up from training, only to find this scumbag trying to lay a hand on you. Your methods for training haven't changed, I see. Was that her saying? Whatever, okay. Endeavor looked down at his son before sighing. Shoto, you're overreacting. But the boy was too blind by rage to see that, now tightening his grip. I knew having her train with you was a mistake. What else have you done to her? Amari then gasped, now trying to break Todoroki away from his father, because it looked like he really wanted to kill him. Then she realized why he was so upset. The arm reflex looked like Endeavor was going to slap her for a minute. Shoto, wait, I'm okay, so just calm down. All of this is my fault anyways. I pushed him. At that, Todoroki was livid, not knowing the context. It doesn't matter. He always seems to find an excuse to slap someone around. I know from experience. Endeavor only frowned at that. Your training was better. Your training was to better yourself as a hero, Shoto. I did that for you. Throwing his hands up, the boy shouted back. I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask for you to isolate me from my entire family or beat the hero into me. Quit trying to act all self-righteous when we both know what a terrible father you've been to all of us. Todoroki then grabbed onto Amari's arm tightly, before continuing. You may have broken me, but I will not let you do the same with her. Over my dead body will I let you hurt her. That's when the boy began to drag her away from the scene, pushing past Endeavor roughly. Let's go, Amari. Feeling herself getting pulled, Amari watched herself exit the room, only to catch a small glimpse of Endeavor's face before the door shut behind her, although she couldn't forget that look in his eyes. He looked devastated for some reason. Pulling her outside, Amari stopped once they reached the bottom steps, calling back to his enraged state as she huffed. Wait, Shoto, slow down! He remembered her weak immune, then immediately stopping and turning back inwardly, only to see her lean forward to take breath. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking. Are you all right? Nodding her head, Amari then stood up, only to see the hatred that was once there before. Yeah, sorry, I'm still working on the whole running thing. Once he realized she was okay, Todoroki placed a concerned hand on her arm. Amari, please stop training with my father. He's no good for you. The girl blinked in surprise at that. She understood his concern, but this was something she needed to do. Shoto, you know I can't do that. At that, Todoroki's face twisted into something unpleasant. Why not, Amari? He tried to hurt you back there. I saw him raise his hand to you. Amari only shook her head, though. That didn't even happen. I touched his arm and he pulled back from me. It was just a reflex. He has never tried to hit me. You just saw it wrong. Not believing his father, the boy huffed. I know that scumbag like the back of my hand. He never missed the opportunity before, so why now? This caused a small ball of irritation to build up in the girl's throat. He was becoming blinded by his own hatred. You just want to believe that's true because of who he is, but the fact is, even though Endeavor is a pain in the ass, he also helped me more times than I can count. He got me on the Chisaki case, stood up for me, and believed that I could be a hero. I'm not going back down from that. I can't. Todoroki understood in a sense, but couldn't help but feel worried with that man next to the girl he loved. He didn't want her to experience any more pain. Amari, I want to support you, but my old man will never be kind. He must have done those things to further himself somehow. There has to be an ulterior motive for him. He's probably using you. Amari looked at the boy before sighing to herself. Maybe what Dabi said was right. Trying to fix their family wasn't going to be easy. She could see the layers of abuse and hate in Todoroki's eyes. That was something that wouldn't be erased with a couple words. Letting her head fall, the girl muttered back, I'm sorry, Shoto, but even if you don't support it, I have to stay with him. I promised myself I would become a hero, and your father is the best road for that. Todoroki narrowed his eyes before turning back to her. I love you, Amari, but you're right. If you choose to stay with my father, then I can't support you. Not after everything. Oh, no. The girl understood, but it still hurt nonetheless to have him reject her choice to stay with his father, although no matter what, she knew she couldn't give up, not for herself, and certainly not for Eri. Even so, I have to do this. Oh, I want to cry. That was sad. Yeah, that was sad. The amount of drinks I have taken from my water means it is almost empty. It's a huge thing of water. It's a fairly large thing of water. I feel like I was going to say something else. I'm going to try to get another one in today. I can hear people in the hallway. I remember why I did this at night. I may have had to whisper, but I didn't have to worry about someone standing by the door and listening to me. Thank you. I've gotten a couple welcome back comments. One from Bow to the Pancakes or something like that, which is a great name. I got a comment from someone. They put a YouTube link in my comments for a free iPhone. I have deleted it now, but if any of you saw that, I thought it was really funny. I found it really funny. It just means I am high enough now to get shit comments, which is it's great. I feel great. It's the same thing with a couple other platforms. I'm on TikTok, and someone called me a gay slur, and I found it really funny because, well, gay, but I thought it was going to be offensive, and I was like, it just means I'm famous enough that people want to comment. bad stuff on my posts 'cause they are insecure about themselves. So that one about the free iPhone probably wasn't an insecurity thing. It was more like a fraud thing, but it made me feel good about myself. Which is ironic. Oh, why would I get these? But okay, I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I'm probably gonna go help clean the rest of the house, because with 2 young children living in a house, it gets quite messy. So this was kind of a out of the way thing. No, it wasn't. I needed to get away. I needed a break. I feel like I'm missing something else, but for now, we'll leave it here. I'll talk about whatever it is in the next video. Okay, I'm taking a while. Follow this person. I like their stories. And if you have another if you want to suggest more stories, go for it. I really want to try and read more. I got a suggestion to do another overhaul story, so if I can find one and get permission to read it, I will start. Hopefully soon. I don't know if I want to finish this one before I start another one, or start another one for those who don't want to listen to this, because I know not everyone likes Todoroki X listener ones, and not everyone likes the idea of being related to Bakugo, which is simple. That's, everyone has their own taste, which is fine. I get it. There are days where I don't like Todoroki either. There are days where he just pisses me off. Okay, I'm rambling. I'm sorry. So I'll go get more stories if you want to suggest more. I'm totally open for that. And you will hear me in the next video. Bye.